Today we're looking at Cinevate's latest video slider. This is the Horizen video slider here. Now it's a beast, but it's designed to just be a workhorse, and it's going to handle a heavy payload. As you can see, it has a built-in 100mm bowl mount here, and I have a Manfrotto 100mm bowl here, so it's easy to level your camera when it's on this platform. You can adapt it to smaller bowl mounts as well, but it's a great feature because you can quickly level your camera if you can't level it from a tripod or if the ground's not level here. And even though it is great for the bigger cameras, the variable drag feature here allows you to use it with smaller cameras, and you kind of get the same feeling. You're basically tuning how much mass you're moving across the slider. It's we'll talk about that in a little bit because it's actually interesting the way they've implemented it here. But a quick look at the slider. It is some beefy aluminum rails all the way around. It's anodized. You've got 4 leveling balls, little feet right here on each end. So if your ground is not level, you can adjust these little balls here and you know, get it level. Now if you are on extreme terrain where you need additional leveling height, they do sell the all-terrain kit. So this is an example here. One leg that I have on here to flip out, and then you can adjust your slider up and down. You'd normally have 2 legs on each side. I only have 1 right now, and I'll show you why I've done that in a second. But also running through the slider, they do give you adjustable stops. So on each side here, if you were trying to perform a slide with your camera, you can actually adjust the hard stops here, so you know your set point, so you're not passing. And maybe you have something in like sharp focus, you want to stop at a precise distance. You can set that on each side here, 1 here and 1 on this side as well. And when you're traveling, you can also park your slider. You can lock the endpoint here, use the brake on the carrier over here, take one of these guys, slide it over here, and now that really locks this carrier in place when you're traveling. Even if your camera's on it, there's no way it's going to move because you've got 2 endpoints here and then also your brake on the carrier. So very handy feature when you're traveling, or if you're just setting your endpoints with the brake. Also, you have some adjustable mounts on the sides of the slider here, so you can mount some accessories like a magic arm, variable arm. And here's one, for instance. We can loosen this up. You see this is a double ball mount arm here, and we can loosen this. So if I was to loosen this up, I can slide it across the rail, and then, so let's say I just have it here, tighten it back up to where I want it, and then I can add maybe a monitor or some sort of wireless transmitter, a light, I don't know, but you can attach different points. There's some 1/4-20 sliding threads on the side here, so that's handy to add some additional accessories over here. Outside of that, it is belt driven. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. And getting back to this variable drag here, this is using a magnet, or eddy braking is what the term is what they're using. And the magnet over the kind of the flywheel spinning, there's actually no friction. It's not touching whatsoever. And as you move the carrier, you can feel that there is some braking happening, and the faster you go, the more braking. So it's smooth all the way across. Now you can tune this, so if you have a heavier camera or a smaller camera, you can just dial this in very precisely. And what happens is the magnet at the bottom, it's not touching the flywheel. As there's greater distance between the magnet and the flywheel, it moves more freely. So let me show you an example. If I was to run this all the way down and I was to push this and push it, it doesn't really travel that far. If I was to loosen this to the max and then push my slider over, it'll go all the way down. And so it's great if you're using a heavy camera to a lighter camera. You can kind of get the same feeling. So as much friction or drag that you guys are used to moving a camera, you can just dial it in right here. So even if we had just a tiny GH5 camera on here, I could make it feel like a heavy camera. Or take this heavy camera and make it feel like a lighter camera. Those are some overall features of the Cinevate Horizen. We took it out, we used it with a couple of cameras. I haven't used all the features that are built into this, but it's been great so far, especially for the heavier cameras. Oh, I did want to point out how I use these different feet here. Let me take this camera off very quickly. So I was doing a slide with my GH5 camera, and I wanted it to get closer to the ground. I was only working with this, and I wanted my camera to get closer to the ground. I couldn't do it with the head positioned so high. So what I ended up doing was I took the feet, the all-terrain feet, adjusted it this way, and I flipped it over on its side just like this. So I have the small ball feet on the back end to level it out, and I also have the all-terrain feet here, or all-terrain legs, and now my camera was a lot lower, and then I just used the pan head, tilted it the way I wanted to, and I got my camera as low as I needed to, and I was able to slide my GH5 all the way across as smooth as I wanted. So that's how I ended up using the all-terrain legs for one project. Underneath the slider, you also have a center plate here with a number of 3/8 and 1/4 inch. On each side you have adapters for 1/4 inch and 3/8 to add additional tripod stands. There are a 5/8 for pins or light stand, C stands, so you could use that on here as well. So there's a number of ways you could support this slider and use it a lot of different ways. The wheels are trapped, so you could use this whole slider upside down if you wanted to, or as you've seen here, sideways as well. But it's definitely been helpful for the larger cameras that we've been working with, like, you know, the Red and the Ursa Mini. Once we build it up, it gets pretty heavy, and this has been the best slider that we've used outside of like a big, huge, you know, dolly track. This one is rock solid. It's got a wide stance. I don't really see myself using the all-terrain legs as much. The feet actually have been pretty stable just because it's so wide. So we got a couple more projects we're going to be taking it out on, but I want to give you guys a quick look at what it has and some of the features that we've used on it. And if you guys have any questions, I'll have a link below this video, also on the blog at cheesycam.com.